And we're live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is the Good Morning Show. I love how everybody's dancing already, even before we get on camera. All right, I'm gonna go tag some people. This is the Friday show, the Friday Squad. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Good Morning Show. We have the Friday Squad. We are ready to go. Let's see our best dance moves. I had guests this week.
I'm moving my feet. You guys can't tell, but I'm moving my feet.
So we are so ready. And we are so excited to see each and every one of you this morning on the show with the Friday Squad. We have hashtag squad goals here. This is the squad goal right here. So good morning, everyone. Please give yourselves a round of applause for being up early, dressed in our travel gear. I love it. I love it. I love it. So how are you guys doing this morning? Let me start with you guys to say good morning. Rio, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. Doing well. Ready to attack the day. Got a good walk/run in, so I'm ready.
Oh my gosh! Like, what time do you get up to do all of that? Walk /
4:30. 4:30.
So, so you and Kristen are the 4:30 risers. That's great. So, and okay, can we talk briefly before we get to say good morning to everyone just tuning in? If you are just tuning in, good morning to you. You okay, baby? You okay? Sorry, my little ones, they're like, she's just staring. Your kids are really staring at you. It's like, kind of funny. But Rio, okay, talk to us a little bit about this travel ensemble you've got. You got the hat, the shirt. Talk to us about the travel fashion you've got.
Well, when you're traveling, I obviously like to be relaxed. So this is me, a little open collar here, nice hat to cover the bald head so the sun doesn't, burn the top of the head too much, and just well relaxed. I got on no socks, but sandals right now. You can't see that. But yeah, just relaxing.
I love it because if you had on socks with sandals, we might have to pick you off.
That might be an issue.
So glad that you are all ready for today's show, which is that travel show. That's what we're calling this. And so we're going to move over to Kristen. You guys must have been in sync with the hat. We're loving the sundress. Tell us about your ensemble this morning.
Yes, this is one of those Amazon purchases. So here's a couple things about the reason I bought a dress. I realized and I apologize, but I pee a lot. Right. And I realized I might have to do that somewhere in a bush, like because overseas, they don't necessarily have all the open bathrooms. Right. So instead of bringing pants, I bought a couple of dresses so that I would have full ability to be my full self out there and still look cute. So that's why I have this dress. But I found this on Amazon. And then I have the hat because I don't know if you've noticed, I'm white. Yes. And the problem with sun and white people is that we have like skin things. And so I get a full beard if I don't pay attention to I love the sun, but if I don't pay attention, I just look like I don't want to. So yeah, I've got that. And then I've got also economic dollar store sunglasses ready that I don't have to be mad at if I lose them.
That is true. That is so true. I am loving this. This is awesome. And we want to welcome our special guest this morning. She's part of the Friday Squad.
Yes,
Yvonne is our guest today, and she is the founder and owner of Tour Amour. The name alone, you just want to say it over and over. Tour Amour, and she's with us this morning to talk all things travel, and you can already see the fashion. We don't even have to say it, Sandra, because you are fabulous. I'm going to go and grab some photos from Tour Amour here on Facebook, but introduce yourself while I go do that.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here this morning, and unlike Rio, I am not a morning person. I have to struggle, but I'm doing better. Needless to say, I am the founder of Tour Amour, and Tour Amour, I'm not a travel agent, first and foremost. I'm not a travel agent. I simply curate experiences. And Tour Amour was born based out of the need to connect diaspora Afro descendants to one another. You know, a lot of people don't recognize. I grew up in Puerto Rico. I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, and my dad's Black, Puerto Rican, my mom's Mexican. And when I moved to the United States, I was shocked that there were Black people that didn't speak Spanish. So to me, it's like, how come you don't speak Spanish? And then I realized, you know, as I got older that, wow, you know, I have this extended family and we don't know one another. We don't know the history of each other. You know, the only difference between a Jamaican, a Puerto Rican, a Colombian is just a boat stop away. So our company, Two or More, our niche market is Afro-Latin culture. You'll be immersed, whether it's, you know, food, religion, you know, the dancing, all the different things that are Afro descendants, basically, you know, the culture that they had is what we will be introducing you to. So whether it's in Cuba, whether it's in Puerto Rico, Colombia, South America, we usually do about 6 trips a year. You can visit our website. You can see our clan. This is in Puerto Rico. I absolutely love this video because we had the most amazing time. We weren't even like filming the video. We were just out having a great time. And then the videographer got the video back to me and I just like cried in tears. Deep, you know, ugly Kim Kardashian tears. Because I had no idea that he was really like filming this while we're just having a blast. I thought he was just taking photos. But here we are. I fell in love with travel ever since, you know, I was a young kid. And, you know, I didn't get my first passport stamp until I turned 40. I am 44 years old today. And,
Wow.
you know, for those of you who think that travel is too expensive or I don't have the ability, you know, to do so, yes, you can. You know, the essence here of it all is what are your priorities? For me, I'd rather spend my money on experiences than things. You know, things you can't take them with you, but experiences last a lifetime. So yeah.
Absolutely.
First of all, this is so amazing. I'm going to let you guys ask her all about Two or More and her travel. So Rio, you want to kick us off? Because I know about this fabulous company, what she does. So Rio, I'm going to let you dig in. Got some questions for Sandra?
Yes, Sandra. Well, thanks for sharing the story. This video is amazing. It's awesome. So I guess my question is, so are you, as far as the travel piece, it's just anywhere in the world that you're setting these things up?
So our focus is Afro-Latin culture. So therefore,
Okay.
most of it is going to be concentrated in South America and throughout the Caribbean. In addition to that, we do an annual trip to the motherland, wherever that looks like. We could be in Morocco. We could be last December, we were in Ghana. I also had the opportunity to go to Morocco. This year, we will be spending Thanksgiving week, God willing, Thanksgiving week in Morocco. We also have Puerto Rico planned. This video clip that you see here is in Puerto Rico, in Loíza, where there's a concentration of Afro descendants. You know, people don't realize that because what you see on television, you know, people don't look like us. You know, the media doesn't, you know, mainstream individuals that are melanated with Afro-Latin culture. So that's our niche market. So primarily South America and the Caribbean.
Okay. Awesome.
It's absolutely stunning, the photos here and the video here. And I'm going to see if I can get your Facebook photos too, because you also had a trip to Africa. Now I know it sounds like we have a little bit of background, so I'm going to see which mic it might be. I'm not sure which mic it is. Not Sandra's mic, but if you guys need to jump to get a headset, go ahead and do that. But Sandra, would you please tell us about your experience in Africa? Because absolutely stunning images for sure.
So first and foremost, people, let me give you a little piece of education. You may not know this, but people say, oh, you know, are you from Africa? It's like saying, are you from the United States? Africa is the continent and it has 54 countries. And I had the opportunity to visit Ghana in December, and what a life-changing experience. I'm not gonna lie, when I got there, I was just so overwhelmed that it didn't hit me until like 2-3 days later that I just cried, you know, because at the end of the day, when do most people, if you're, you know, if you have some type of, you know, connection to the diaspora, to me, I thought to myself, wow, here I am where my ancestors stood. We fought so much. I am my ancestors' wildest dreams. Who would have thought that this little country girl that grew up in Puerto Rico would be across the globe, visiting the motherland? And one of the most humbling experiences for me is what they call the naming ceremony, where you go to a village and you meet the elders. They do a blessing over you, pretty much like a baby dedication, except here I am full grown. But that is a custom that you get your name based on the name of the week that you were born in. So my name is Ya, which means that I was born on a Thursday. And the village adopted me, so they gave me my last name. So my name Ya, Y-A-A, which it's crazy because my middle name is Sandra Yvonne. The name means strength. It means warrior. It means confident. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a crier, but when I cry, I cry. To have this person wash my feet and to say a blessing over me, I mean, I couldn't fathom that. In addition to that, I had the opportunity to go to Cape Coast, Elmina, to go visit the Door of No Return, which, if you know anything about the diaspora, basically, those different castles were existed to hold enslaved Africans. Some of them were taken by force. Some of them were given up, by our own people, if we're honest about it. So I had the opportunity to enter those dungeons, where our people, were held in captivity. And my God, if those walls could speak, I will encourage you to join us. We are planning a Ghana trip next year in 2021. If you want to have that connection, and I don't care whether you're African American, whether you're Afro descendant, if you really want to understand our plight that's taking place today, you have to go back. You have to go back to understand, our history. You have to seek to understand. If you don't understand it, seek to understand, seek to empathize, what our plight has been. Even now I'm talking about it and I get emotional because you see the dungeons where thousands of men were held. And I kid you not, imagine, you being in your bathroom and having 100 people, sleep there, eat there, defecate, do everything in your bathroom. 100 guys, 100 people. That's how crowded. So that's the naming ceremony. They pass around, a glass of cup, meaning that you all become one, you become united. I mean, it's just a beautiful experience. We danced, we laughed, and I'm like, okay, this is where I get it from.
Wow.
It connected me to, who I am. And although I was, born and raised in Puerto Rico, my father's ancestors, came from there. Obviously, that's how we got here. And, I wish my father would still be alive, to know where his people came from and those customs. So it's an overwhelming experience. All I can say is, stay tuned, sign up for our, updates on our newsletter. And also go to our Instagram. I post daily on our Instagram, which is at Tour Amor. And you'll see all the different itineraries that we have planned. Obviously, with COVID, things kind of went wayside, but it's okay. We get up and we're going to come back strong. And I think after all of this is said and done, we will all need an adventure. So one thing with Tour Amor, we educate, we explore, we explore, we educate, and we have an amazing adventure. So know that's what you're going to get out of a group trip with us.
I love it. Kristen, I didn't know if you had some questions for Sandra about, I'm trying to get the Morocco video if I can. Is this Morocco?
I posted a couple of things when I was in Morocco, maybe. Oh, that was hilarious. We're riding around and this cat was like literally right next to us. So I couldn't help it. It was freaking hilarious.
So it's really, the thing that sticks out to me is that what your company is consistent with who you are, right? Like when you talk about it's education, it's adventure, and it's also fun. Like you don't lean one way or the other. Like if you know Sandra, you know that she's all of those things. She's generously an educator, right? She generously, in your ignorance, will meet you with let me tell you something. Like, and it's so great. But there's color and there's life and there's beauty, and in the depths of pain, she does a great job of like acknowledging that and being present with that, but also being like, let's go, let's go now, let's go dance. Like there's something really. It's and to know you when you started this company, to know the story beforehand that drove you to that place. You're like, I am going to travel. I am done. I'm getting my passport. I'm going, and figuring out how to do that over and over and over again, and figuring out the prior, like having to choose, right? Like you chose not stuff, but adventure. You chose to shift your funds from one place to the other, and now you're doing this thing where you're inviting an entire. I think, like, just like Candy's going to be global, so is Sandra. So is Sandra. Like, let's not get it twisted. I feel like there's something. To God's ears. Yes, because the amount of life that you both bring. My one question is, can I, as a Caucasian, come? Is it open?
Of course, and that's what I said earlier. This is not just for you to know. This is not just for Afro Latinos to reconnect. I mean, obviously that is the whole, wealth of it, but this is for anybody that seeks to understand and to learn, and that's what I'm saying, Kristen, that in order for anybody to understand what's taking place in our community and our society today, you got to go back to the beginning. You got to go back to the beginning, but to really understand, that when we were brought over, due to the transatlantic slave trade in the 1500s and 1600s, the biggest population was dropped off in Brazil. And just to be exact, back then there was no Brazil, there was no Puerto Rico, there was no Cuba, there was no Colombia, there wasn't any of that. So that, we are who we are today. I speak Spanish, due to colonization, obviously in Puerto Rico by the Spaniards. But this is for anybody who seeks to learn. And this is how I know that I was in the right path too. My 9 to 5, my day job, I'm in pharmaceutical sales and I love what I do. But to me, this is my heart. This is my heart to introduce people to other people. So that way you understand, when we were brought over, we lost our language. Obviously, a lot of us have completely been disconnected. We lost our religions. We lost, our way of living. And it's amazing to me, obviously that occurred here in the United States, but it's amazing to me that when you go to Cuba, when you go to Colombia, and even in parts of Puerto Rico where I was, born, we still have preserved our African culture in so many ways, by the way that we cook, by the dance that, the dances that we dance. Earlier in that video, from Puerto Rico, we were dancing this native dance called bomba. And it's, part of our Yoruba, ancestry. And a lot of people don't realize, to me, it's like, you got to know who you are to understand. And whether you're African-American, know who you are. If you are, my non-melanated friend, like Kristen, that I love you dearly, and you want to learn, you want to learn and understand, then of course, we welcome everyone. On my trip to Ghana, on my flight to Ghana, I sat next to this gentleman, and I had my Beats. I was ready to snooze because it was a 10 o'clock flight. I was like, don't bother me. I'm about to check out. But he just started talking to me. We hadn't even taken off. And I'm like, golly, I got to be friendly. So we start talking, and, we got into what he did. And I asked him, so what do you do? Because he was telling me that he lives in Panama. And I'm like, but you're taking a flight from Miami? And he says, well, I have a home in Panama. That's where I live. I'm retired there. And my family lives here in Miami. I have a son. I came to pick him up. But we're going to, Morocco to spend 2 weeks there. I do photography and I also do tours. And I'm like, what kind of tours do you do? And he says, well, he gave me the business card. He says, I am Jewish. And I introduce people to, Jewish culture, because there's Jewish culture everywhere you go. There's Jewish culture. I'm like, in Morocco? He says, yes, there are Jews in Morocco. And a lot of people need to understand, what transpired, when they were all dispersed all over the place. And I thought to myself, that's what I need. That's what I want. I knew that was like my confirmation that I'm on the right track, because if you don't know who you are, then how do you know where you're going? You got to know who you are. And it's so important for us to understand, it's not just who I am. Who is Kristen? Where do you come from? What is the plight of your people? How did you guys get here? To me, I've always been intrigued by that. I want to know who I am, where I am, where I'm going. That's all.
Sorry.
Notice the one thing that is eminent is, all throughout, African culture, whether you're Latino or whatever the case may be, that drum connects us like no other. When those drums start to play, congas, that percussion, you feel that deep down in your spirit. So this little girl here is doing a workshop in Bomba, and I love it. I love it. I mean, I love it. I love my culture. I say I love my pearls, my curves, and my culture.
There you go.
So it's
Sandra,
interesting.
I had a question.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So I had a question. I'm sorry if I missed it earlier. My phone was
That's
acting
okay.
a little crazy. So how exactly, I know you mentioned, Afro-Latino and so forth, the main places that you actually visit as far as the descent and all that, but how do you actually select which places that you're going? Is there a process to that?
I do a lot of reading, I do a lot of reading, and I find places where you have, concentration of Afro descendants. In Puerto Rico, I know where that exists because I came from there. In Cuba, there's Afro descendants everywhere. So I do my fair share of research to connect those individuals on the ground that are going to, introduce us and immerse us in our culture, basically. So my process is just reading. This is, what people don't realize is like, she travels, she goes, here, she goes there. Listen, I do a lot of reading. There's times that I don't sleep because I want to understand. A friend of mine told me a long time ago, he's like, did you know that Mexico had a Black president? And I'm like, what? Because my mom's Mexican. And if I told that to my mom, she's like, no, mija, no. But if you do your research, yes, there was a Black man who was, president in in Mexico. And when you do the research, time and time again, you will find that most populations of African Americans, well, I shouldn't say African Americans, African people are still concentrated on coast regions because that's where they were dropped off, and they didn't have the resources to, travel deep into, Colombia or whatever the case may be. Candy, I'm gonna put you on blast. So Candy, shared with me that she's Colombian, and I was like, whoa, that is so amazing to me, because in Colombia, what a lot of people don't realize is you see the novelas. Okay, so that little girl was so cute. She was inviting me to dance during the naming ceremony. It was beautiful. But in Colombia, there's a heavy concentration of Afro descendants, and this August we were slated to do a festival called Petronio Alvarez. They happen to have my last name. Go figure. So this festival basically, it's all things Afro-Colombian culture. And in Colombia, when you go to this festival, Rio, you would think you're standing in the middle of Nigeria, because there's a sea of color, and they all speak Spanish. So the only thing that separates us, obviously, is where we got dropped off, and the fact that we speak Spanish, is due to colonization. But there's in different regions, there's a place in Colombia also called Palenque. It became the first free state in Colombia for slavery, and they don't speak Spanish there. They don't speak English. They still speak their native, tongue, their own dialect. So things like that, that's what we introduce you to. So what process? Research.
I love it. You touched
research, reading.
You touched earlier on Puerto
connection.
Rico. Mhm. So
Yes.
I went to Puerto Rico over 10 years ago, so it's been quite some time. But unbeknownst to me, it was there were people there that were darker than I was. So before going there, I wouldn't even think that. So that was kind of I don't want to say shock, but it was very interesting. I was intrigued by that.
It is shocking. Go
Yeah.
ahead, tell it. It is shocking. Because that's not what you see on television.
Right.
You know, our views are formed based on what we see on media.
Yeah.
And it is shocking. You know, I'm light skinned because my mom is fair skinned. She's Mexican. But everyone from my dad's side, you know, they're dark. You know, and it was funny because my teacher, when I first moved to Miami from Puerto Rico, again, I didn't know any English whatsoever. I had to learn. I was 10 years old. And the teacher was like, wow, your dad speaks, you know, excellent Spanish. And I'm like, because that's his language. I'm like, how come you don't? You know, I can understand that. It was definitely a culture shock for me to move to the United States. It was a culture shock to go visit my grandparents in Texas, my mom's side of the family, because they're Mexicans. So although they speak Spanish, their Spanish is completely different, you know, than what most Puerto Ricans speak. Half the time I didn't understand what they were saying. And I'd be like, you don't talk Puerto Rican. But, you know, they knew what I meant. So, yeah, there is a heavy concentration, you know, of Blacks in Puerto Rico. And they are all throughout, you know, the Caribbean and the Americas, all throughout the Americas.
I love this.
So you see, Kristen, we have our light, fair-skinned people also coming.
Well, what's amazing, what's amazing is I'm going to be in South Africa for 3 months, and around the time that you're going to be in Morocco, and Morocco has been one of the places I wanted to go, and I looked into it. And I wanted everything to be intentional and rich. And what you offer in that tour, we're talking, what is it, Saturday? So like, I'm going to talk to you about that trip and what that would look like to join you there. Because what I don't want it to just be an experience, because you can go anywhere and experience it through your own lens, right? You can go anywhere and I can bring myself to a place and not receive what that place can offer, right? And then what I love about what you do is you open up history, you open up experience, and everything about it is again the combination of like understanding and life. Like there's this perpetual narrative over and over again, and I love like this video is so. I'm not surprised he was able to get all that footage, right? Based on like how you live your life and how like being around you, what that feels like. So yeah, I'm excited to be one of the people, you know, on the trip. And I would encourage, hey friends, join Sandra.
Join Sandra.
Like,
I'm telling you.
Like, enter into that space. Yeah, enter into that space and what I don't know, and here, like listen and experience. And like, girl, you know I can't go left and the dancing thing. Like, I want to hear that. I want to hear it. I want to hear it, and I want everything inside of me wants to. But that's not where I come from. My people come from like I stand and that's it. like you know. So like I have stuff to learn.
We will get you to two-step. We will get you to, you know, take your little rope a little bit.
Just tell you how many of my friends have tried.
I want to make sure that we say let's listen to some comments as well this morning, because we have people on here that are like, I want to go, and Shanae says she wants to go global. Let me move the camera shot here so we can actually see everyone's comments and see everyone's faces here. So Shanae's like, yes, global, this is global. Good morning, Millie, how are you? And my friend all the way from high school, Sandra Smart, she's on here. Hey, Sandra. Hey, here's part of the Friday Squad crew, Heidi. Good morning, Heidi. Heidi's with Estee Lauder. She said, very emotional week. We needed this break, you guys. Gracias. Love it. So if you're watching with us this morning, go ahead and tag someone. We want you to watch the replay. We had a really good discussion, you know, with everything that is going on. Sandra, it was very, I think, right on time for you to share what your travels have done for people who come with you on Tour More to get educated, to really obviously learn about the culture, and sometimes to learn about their own roots, right? And that is so, so important. So you guys got to go to tourmore.com, and I'll put that up here. What questions do you guys have for travel? So as we wrap the broadcast here this morning, want to thank all of you for tuning in. We have some more good mornings. Terry, good morning. Whoops. Terry, good morning. Brenda, good morning. Hey, ladies. Thanks for tuning in. Miss Denise, good morning.
Mama
She's
Denise.
up and watching. Mama Denise, we call her.
Oh my gosh. I remember Mama Denise when you guys were having the prayer call
Oh,
back in
yeah.
like 2007 or
Still out
something.
there.
That's her. That's her.
Yeah.
She's
Still
listening.
going.
Lynn Marie says, I can't wait to see Kristen Rogers on that trip dancing. That is awesome. So go ahead and tag someone's name in the comment section. That will actually alert them that this broadcast is out there. We wanted this show to be fun. We wanted it to be all about travel. We all have our travel gear on. I have a little story about this that I'm wearing. It's a cover up, but this cover up is probably as old as I am. This was my mom's cover up. And my mom always wanted to travel the world. I don't think she got to travel as much as she wanted to, but it's such a beautiful garment. And Sandra's all about the fashion, right? So this is actually, it's just got a bunch of birds on it, but it's just such a beautiful garment that I had to wear it. And I was like, I really appreciate you, Sandra, that you said that you didn't get your passport stamped until you were 40, right? 40?
Mhm.
And it's
That is correct. I mean, I traveled, I went places, but to me, a cruise, you don't really get to truly experience the culture. People say, I went to Puerto Rico. Where did you go, San Juan? I'm like, that's not Puerto Rico. Go other places.
Yeah.
Where did you go? I went here. Okay, no. Go deep in. Go dig for culture. Dig those gems that you don't normally see in the touristy areas.
Mhm.
And that's why we need you, actually. So I'm going to pull up your website because a lot of us are not that creative, and we're not that great at coordinating the things that you've already curated. So why not jump on board and take a look at the website? I'm going to post it now. But what questions do you have if you're watching? What questions do you have about travel? Obviously, we're all waiting for travel to be available to everyone again, but where have you always wanted to go? I think that's a better question. Post in the comments if you're watching this morning. Where is the one place you've always dreamt of going? And tell us why if you can. So for you guys, we'll close with that. Where is the one place that you have not been that you always wanted to go? And we'll start with Rio.
Well, before this morning and before this broadcast, I always said I wanted to visit Italy, go to Rome and do things like that. But even just talking about Ghana, I would like to go back to Puerto Rico because I was one of those ones that stayed in San Juan, went to old San Juan, but I didn't fully get a chance to embrace the culture. So there are a couple of places that come to mind, which I'm glad we had this discussion today.
Yeah.
So yeah, quite a few places. So I see Sandra's going to be my guide there.
Yes. Come on. Italy, that's a good one. Kristen, where's someplace you've always wanted to go? Well, you are going to be going so many places.
Right. So the places I'm going to go are places that I wanted to go, which is it's Italy, kind of. I start in Rome and then go out from there, South Africa, and kind of come up in there. But and then Portugal and kind of go on the side throughout Spain and other places. Yeah. But the thing that's been consistent with me, I've been fascinated with the Islamic culture, and I have been so fascinated with the food. Ever since I went to Turkey back in 2007, I have been I've wanted to go back. I don't necessarily trust my Americanness by myself, which I'm trying to figure out what that looks like. And Morocco was on my list. I can't believe you said Morocco because I my heart wants to experience all of that. And then also Egypt is another place that I want to go. But my plan is to go from Portugal to Izmir because in Turkey it felt like a combination of culture and breath at the same time in history of biblical history. To me, biblical history is my history, right? That's the place where I go back and I feel grounded. I feel like that's what I want to know about what happened in these spaces and how those spaces, how can I experience them today with full life and connection and see Jesus in those places. So that's kind of my thing.
That's your thing. Oh, for me, I would say I want to go to Israel. So I know Kristen's talking about that. If I'm muting you guys, it's only to remove the audio issue. But I want to see. I want to see where Jesus walked. Obviously, there's just so much history. I want to see all of that. I do want to see Europe as well. So I'm with Rio and Kristen. I want to see, Italy. There's some places that I want to see in over in Europe. But first, I would love to go to Israel. Sandra, someplace you haven't been yet.
Listen, the world is my playground. I haven't been everywhere, but it's on my bucket list. That's all I can say.
That is amazing. I love it. I love it. And you guys see here a video right from her website. It's Tour More. I'm actually going to take out this video so we can get some comments here because people have been answering where they want to go. So let's take a look.
Cool.
Somebody read that for me.
Barbados, my grandfather's birthplace. Oh, but then the line is.
Oh, is it in the website? She wants to go there to visit family history. Let's see who else we have here. Awesome, Clary. That is amazing.
Barbados is beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Coast of Italy. Hey, Brandon, good morning. Where else? A lot of people want to see Italy. Wow. Italy stands out. Well, I think, Sandra, so for those of us who are complete novice, don't know anything about travel, what is some advice you can leave us with? Oh, there's some more coming in, sorry. Bora Bora. Yes. Who doesn't want to go to Bora Bora? Brenda, that's awesome. I love it. And then Belize. I've seen gorgeous pictures of Belize. I think that's definitely on so many of our lists. So, Sandra, what advice do you have for us if we want to get into travel? I'm going to post your website here in a second. So obviously we can go to tourmore.com. But what advice do you have for those wanting to travel but maybe fearful to travel?
I can appreciate that during this current climate. First things first, get your passport. Okay, get your passport. When you get your passport, it's like you can't get a car and just let it sit in the driveway. So the same thing with a passport, get that passport and start slow. As a matter of fact, even if you don't have a passport, because right now it's kind of difficult to get a passport, the agencies are closed and they're going to have an influx of individuals who want to renew their passports. So it may be a challenge getting your passport right away, but get your feet wet little by little. My suggestion is, hop on a flight. You can come to Puerto Rico with us. We're going to Puerto Rico in October 22nd through the 26th. There's still availability. A whole bunch of people, had already booked, and just the same, they canceled. But I told myself, Sandra, even if you go by yourself, I'm going, because I need to remain true to, myself, and I need to remain true. Who knows what I may find, on my own. So there's still availability for you to travel. Puerto Rico is just 2 hours away from South Florida, from Orlando, basically, on a flight. And when you do travel, don't book a resort. Don't do that. You're not going to get anything out of booking at a resort. Now, if that is the type of vacation that you want to have, to chill and relax, sure, no problem. But if you want to learn the culture, and if you want to be immersed and have a true cultural experience, book a nice hotel, book an Airbnb where the individual is going to tell you, go here, go there. And also, do your research, figure out what it is that you want to do. So do that. But just start someplace, before.
Oh, I think we lost Sandra audio for just a second here. So I want to let you know, if you just tuned in, thank you for tuning into the Good Morning Show. This is the Friday Squad. We are talking about travel and fashion, and fashion because we're wearing it, our travel gear, and also Tour More. And this is tourmore.com. Let me put the website up here one more time, and we'll wait for Sandra to rejoin us. But Tour More is curated. I don't want to say educational, but it is totally educational. It's an experience in culture, Afro-Latin culture. And Sandra has put these tours together, and it's absolutely amazing. I think we got you back, Sandra. Are you there? Can you hear us now?
Hey.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I was just saying, I was putting up the website and letting people know where to go, but you were saying get your passport and don't stay in a resort because they need to be immersed in the true experience.
Right. Just get out and explore. Get a car rental if you can and explore and ask around. I belong to different travel communities, different travel groups within Facebook. So whenever I need a resource or information, I go there. But that's my suggestion. Start small. If you can't go across the globe right now, which I don't recommend it anyway just yet. But just explore, get out of your comfort zone. Get out of your comfort zone. I am an adventurer. That's just me. I've been curious all my life. My mama will tell you. I've always been curious. I want to know. And I'm not afraid. So I just do it. But in order for you to really enjoy life, you just have to do it. Do it even when you're scared, whatever that may be, whether it's travel, whether it's a new business, a new venture. Do it even when you're scared. Just do it.
That is so amazing. Rio has to run, but we thank you, Rio. Thank you for being on the Friday show. And we pray that you have an amazing weekend. And maybe you can travel around the living room, Rio. We bring you back to the you travel from room to room, pretend you're in a different place. Bye, Rio. Have a great day.
God bless you guys.
Bye, Rio.
Bye.
Bye.
So, ladies, we're going to wrap here, but I hope that I know this has been a good, we all needed to breathe. These images, Sandra, have been beautiful and wonderful, and we thank you for putting this all together. I want to let everyone know to please do us a favor. Hit the share button right now. If you're watching still and you're on with us live, thank you for tuning into the Good Morning Show. We're with the Friday Squad. I love these people. They're like my brothers and sisters, truly. They are family, and so are you. But we want to spread the word. We want to definitely bring a word of encouragement and a smile to somebody's face. And now is the time to plan your travel, because you don't want to wait till when everything is open again. It's going to be a mad dash. Everyone's going to be last minute trying to get in there.
If I may, Candy, folks, we have 3 trips, planned for 2020 still. We have Puerto Rico in October. We have Thanksgiving in Morocco. And I'm trying to work something where we're going to spend New Year's Eve in Cuba. So if you want to receive 2020 with a bang, 2021, then stay tuned. But do follow us. The website is tourmore.com. I would recommend that if you have Instagram, follow us on Instagram, because most of our information is there, which is at Tour Amour.
Absolutely amazing. Kristen, you want to add something?
I mean, I'm not after her. The only thing I can say is that I wanted to, you're wrapping up. I think it'd be so fun to come back and talk about different ways to travel, right? The economy of things often keeps people from thinking that they can travel. And Sandra and I have both worked out kind of what does that look like for both of us? What's really important to both of us? And what does that look like to look for deals, to figure out what is most important and not lack an experience because you're choosing where your money's going to go versus thinking you have to spend $10,000 or $5,000 to go on a trip, right? So I think if we come back and maybe talk about those things too, of what's a way to travel and look like $1 million, right? And take 10 bags. I don't know, Sandra, how many bags do you take when you go? It's amazing to me. She looks like she's got Kim Kardashian's suitcase, right? Yeah. Every time she goes somewhere. No. I mean, but it's great because I think both of us decided hey, I don't want to spend money on extra luggage. I want to continue to spend money on everything else that life has to offer, and I don't have to buy stuff in order to make it happen. So I'm excited. I follow Sarah, go do it.
I love you, Kristen. I love you.
I love you too.
Well, I love you both, and thank you all for staying with us. Listen, hit the share button. I have a special segment at 10 a.m. where this whole month of June on the Good Morning Show, we're talking to believers in the entertainment industry, those with a platform. And my guest at 10 a.m. has a unique story. She's an epilepsy survivor. She has struggled with epilepsy for several years, but she is opened up her own fitness business, and her name is Caprice O'Brien Gutierrez. And Caprice was actually on the Real. So you guys are familiar with the Real daytime talk show. And Caprice has just an amazing story. She is an influencer. She'll never say she's a celebrity, but she's that status where she's someone out there in the industry and influencing, and she's a believer. She's a wonderful woman of God, but her testimony is super powerful. Now, Caprice is in California. So that's why we're doing a 10 a.m. segment, which will be 10 a.m. here Eastern time. And she's going to be up early working out anyway. But I think it's a great time for believers to have a voice in the world, to bring hope and to use the platform. She's also the trainer for the Tom Joyner Morning Cruise. So I don't know if they're still doing that because Tom Joyner retired, but he was the radio disc jockey. And Caprice was the assigned cruise fitness instructor. So she's had a lot of exposure to the industry, and she's so wonderful. Her testimony is going to be live with us at 10 a.m. this morning. So come back and join us. So anyway, how'd you guys enjoy the show today? Please put your comments in there. Give us your feedback. I think next week, next 2 weeks, we're going to be doing beauty with Estee Lauder. And then the following Friday, we're going to have what she's having with Kristen Rogers. All right, you guys, until next time, go visit Pour More, both on the website, Facebook, and Instagram. Sandra, we can't thank you enough. This was amazing. This was amazing.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, until next time, we'll dance our way out of the broadcast, right? Get ready for the weekend. Woo! It's the Friday Squad here on the Good Morning Show. You can go left. You can go left, Kristen. I love it.
With my arms, I'm like that wavy thing, right?
I love you guys. Until 10 a.m. today, come back to the Good Morning Show. We'll see you again. Tell someone about this, hit share, and like and follow us. Love you guys. We'll be back. All right.